Nice to be sitting here with you. My name is Tom. I'm here at Vitanova this morning. I have done some work with some of the clients here at Vitanova regarding their financial awareness and doing some financial planning with them. And we're here sitting with you today. You're a credit counselor. Would you care to let us know where you're working?
Sure. So I'm Rhonda. I'm a credit counselor with Credit Counselling Society. We have offices in 5 provinces, including Ontario, where I'm based. But we do have counselors everywhere out west and here in the province of Ontario in a variety of cities.
That's wonderful. And I think this is something that's certainly apropos to some of the clients here at Vitanova. A couple of questions to go through with you. As I know, you're being very generous with your time. I am curious, in your role as a credit counselor, have you had circumstances or situations where you've dealt with clients who have struggled in some sort with addiction and mental health? And if so, how would you have dealt with those type of clients?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of supporting clients, we definitely have clients with addictions or mental health issues. In terms of it's similar to how we would work with any client. It's important as a credit counselor, it's important to understand the root cause of the client's current debt situation, which could include addictions. Mm-hmm. And if a client is, if they're still engaged with their addiction, then we might want to know, how is this going to impact their success of getting rid of the debt? For example, nice. If based on the size of the person's debts, they owe a certain amount, and then they require a certain amount in order to pay the debt back, do they have a spending addiction or a gambling addiction? Is that something that could impact their budget and their ability to meet those monthly payments with their debts? And so that's one piece that we look at. For example, there are clients whose online gaming might take up 25% of their budget. Well, if we're living in the GTA, sometimes housing can be 40% or more of the budget. They may have a car that they're financing that's, costing about 25% of the budget. So is 10% of the final budget going to help get rid of the debt? It'll depend on the size of the debt.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Secondly, this is, the Vitanova Foundation and the work they do. One of the things that comes to mind first and foremost is compassion. And from your perspective and ours as well, as we think about the clients here, dealing with the clients here in a compassionate manner is something that's certainly important as we're dealing with very sensitive issues and so forth. Is that something that comes into your line of work, that you find a compassionate angle to approach some of these issues with clients?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, each client has a story of how they came to have debt. Addictions could be one of them, but there's a lot of myths and stereotypes out there about how people do get into debt. And, these myths and stereotypes are often false. So we don't really focus on, the reason why the person got there. We focus on solutions and moving them forward. Debt can happen to anyone and everyone. We've had clients with a lot of money. We've had clients with no money. We've had clients, who've had serious health issues, and that's why they've lost their job and then they had to turn to credit. So there's lots of reasons why people go into debt. We don't focus, it is important for our counseling work to understand the root cause, but it's not what we focus on, in our counseling. In terms of the debt, it's only one piece of the client's story. Like, there's always a background, something bigger. And so, we talk about that history, we gather information to help clients find solutions. And, this is part of what's going to help us move the client forward and look at options depending on what some of those root causes are. And the most important thing is, the debt is not the person. This is one element of a much, more complex life. And it's really easy for us with anything in life, not just debt, to get really stuck in the problem and feel like there isn't a way forward. And it's our role as credit counselors to help clients find those options so that they can feel that, see that light at the end of the tunnel and feel that
Right.
weight lifted off their shoulders, and to really show that person that, they're bigger than their debt. It is something that's manageable. It is something they can tackle.
That's fantastic to hear. In my discussions with clients over the years, I think, and I think this is what I'm hearing from you, that this is non-judgmental. That my discussions with a lot of them was, oftentimes they're a little apprehensive to get into the details of how and why they got to the situation they find themselves in. And like, I think echoing what you're just saying, my message was there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that it doesn't really matter how we got to where we are today, so long as, there's a way to look at finding the solution for this. And it sounds like that's the approach that you guys take, that this is a non-judgmental, this is we're not here to judge why we're in the situation we're in. We're just here to try and help you find a better route, which is fantastic. It sounds like that's the approach that you guys take as well. And finally, Rhonda, one last sort of question for you, and this is one of the big ones I found dealing with clients, was the whole getting started process. And I think sometimes the clients would find this kind of a little on the overwhelming side. Sort of, would refer to this sort of as the come to Jesus type of moment, where let's get started, let's find a way to actually move the ball forward, and what is the actual process. And that's what I'm curious to find out from you. What would a client expect? What is the process? What do you need from them, and that type of thing going forward?
Absolutely. So for sure, making that first phone call to us, clients have addressed again and again that is often the most stressful part, just taking that step. And I've often talked to clients who, they've thought about it for 3 months or a year before they made that first phone call, because they were afraid of the judgment. But the reality is, at least from what I can say, is like Credit Counselling Society, we're a nonprofit. We provide free and confidential, non-judgmental, options-based counseling. Having said that, the client has to be ready. And, we're certainly not in a position to force anyone to go through counseling or push anyone. We're always here to help. We're happy to listen and provide those options. But clients, as I'm sure addictions counselors would be aware as well, they're not always ready to take that step. And it's important that they're not pushed, and that they do take that step when they're ready themselves. In terms of when we work with clients, really, their focus often when they call us is the debt. And that causes the most stress in terms of booking an appointment, their fear of judgment. And the reality is, debt is caused by a number of things. And I like to think of debt and how we get to debt as a kind of puzzle. And so there's 4 main pieces of that puzzle that generally give us a picture of what the situation is. So we look at income, money coming in. Did this person recently have a layoff? Had they had serious health issues, which has meant they weren't able to work? Budget, so money going out. How much of that income is spoken for? And then when it's so tight, like I mentioned earlier in the GTA, for a lot of people, there's this concept that people are just overspending. That's how debt happens. For some people, it's that, 60% of their income could be going to housing.
There's just not enough coming in. Yeah.
There's not enough money. How do you pay for groceries? How do you pay for transportation? So those are 2 of the main pieces. Is the income and budget often truly inform how the debt happened. But also we look at the other 2 pieces, of course, being assets. So do they have any assets that they can address the debt with? And then also the scope of the debt. So not just the amount, but also what type of debt. Is this bank debt? Is this high interest lender debt? These are tax debt is a big thing as well. So and there's different solutions depending on what you're talking about there. So we look at those 4 main pieces, but certainly there's a bigger part of the puzzle, which are all those other areas that draw in, like addictions. Do they have a partner that's not able to work because of health issues? And so are they sort of the sole breadwinner for the family? Or were they the sole breadwinner for the family and now
are no
they
longer?
can't work?
That's right.
You got it. So these are some of the things that we start to look at, and really we like to think of our conversation with the client in terms of that first appointment. We're going on a journey together. So it's important that the client is present, that they're ready to have that conversation, and we're ready to walk with them. We're ready to, hear them and listen to them in a non-judgmental way. And so once we have a sense of their full story, now we can start looking at solutions. So I would say, in terms of like, what can a client expect in that first appointment? Certainly a conversation around those 4 big pieces of the puzzle. And then we start to explore options. At the end of the conversation, once the credit counselor has that picture, well, now solutions start to emerge. And there's 3 types of solutions. There's a lot of solutions actually that clients can exercise themselves that don't really require any support. And there's things that people haven't thought of. They're like, maybe you have a family or friend, who can help you out a little bit over here.
Right.
Or maybe they might take on a second job, for now, just to kind of clear the debt. So there are some self options that we can certainly talk about. And Credit Counseling Society itself offers something called a debt management program. And the way the debt management program works is all of your debt gets put together. So any unsecured debt, so any like car loans or mortgages, that stuff can't be included. But, like credit cards, payday loans, high interest loans, lines of credit.
Which are common, yeah.
Which are super common. So all those things get consolidated and you pay everything over 4.5 years. Some debts will go to 0% interest in the program. Some will have significantly reduced interest, just depends on the debt.
Right.
The benefits of doing a program is some people just need a little more support. And so us as credit counselors, we operate as one-on-one financial coaches. So anytime the client has questions or concerns that they want to talk about around finance, we can certainly walk them through that. Or if we're not the right person, we can refer them to the right resources. We also have free webinars, which anyone can access. You don't have to be a client of CCS. If you go to our website, it's mymoneycoach.ca. There's all kinds of free webinars, the truth about credit, how to do budgeting. There's lots on like couples and money and families and money. So we offer a pretty full rounded service, and some clients really require that extra support. And certainly when they finish their program after 4.5 years, they really feel that success, because it's not easy to pay all your debt off in 4.5 years.
No, this is it's interesting, and that was just wonderful the way you put all of that. Like I had explained to some of the clients over the years that I've sat down and chatted with, they didn't find themselves in these circumstances overnight. So it's to be fair to themselves, not to expect to be able to address all of this overnight. They need to give themselves a fair opportunity to do so. And I think it was wonderful the way you put it about this being a puzzle, because I did find often that the challenge that was clients felt was in front of them was a little daunting, a little overwhelming. So, and which is oftentimes what, when we find that in life, then that's when our feet get stuck, and it's difficult to move forward. And when you put it so perfectly as a puzzle, that's a great way, I think, for the clients to look at this. This is not going to get fixed overnight, but we will get addressed, and it's a puzzle. And you guys, with your wonderful team, will be able to help piece that puzzle together, and they'll ultimately see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is one of the wonderful things of this type of process is they do see the light at the end of the tunnel. Working with people like yourselves, they do ultimately see, wow, what, this will turn out to be great. So that's fantastic, and you guys do wonderful work. So Ron, I want to thank you for your time today. This is wonderful, endeavors that the foundation is doing, and teaming up with folks like yourselves. This is great. It provides wonderful inspiration for the clients here at the house. So I do appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you for your time, and thanks for the great work that you're doing with your clients.